What's up, YouTube? Keeping it a Benji, and I'm getting back with y'all. Now, I've been catching a lot of YouTubers pretty much come out and make a lot of excuses for Crip Mac and his conduct pertaining to interviewing an alleged Hoover, Texas homosexuality person. And one thing that they keep using for an excuse is like, that's about growth. It shows that Crip Mac's he's on growth because he didn't do nothing or he didn't disrespect that individual. Let's just talk about the facts in our reality. When is the last time anybody seen or heard about Crip Mac running across somebody and he did anything that he says he represents? I mean, he went and got tattoos, right, on his biceps. On one part it got like an H whacked out, on the other arm it got like a P whacked out. This is like maybe a year ago. The next few days he's in the back seat and he's making excuses and apologizing to the Pyrus that allegedly got at him about the disrespect of his tattoos, and he started talking about how he don't beef with no Pyrus and stuff like that, right? Plus, he do all that disrespecting, like to a person like Bricc, Blueface. But when he run across Blueface, he don't want no problem with Blueface. Blueface get at him about what's up with this, and the third, and he goes off into talking about some T-Fly, and he pretty much go off into trying to be cool. He ain't going off into like trying to get at a person, you know what I mean? He ain't trying to hold himself accountable for those statements he be saying and making when it comes to Blueface. And not only did they start play fighting and they came to a cool understanding, right after that, Crip Mac got on another podcast and started disrespecting Blueface again and disrespecting other people that's a part of Blueface crew. Just coward activity. The same with YG. Crip Mac ran into YG. Told him it's nice to meet you. He was very excited to meet YG. YG bang, don't even let him know what it was. That was that. But Crip Mac get back on the podcast after that. And he say stuff like, YG got extra out, you don't know me like that. You ain't even bang back. I banged, you didn't bang back. Just a gang of disrespect, more and more and more. So we can't use that as growth. We can't use that as growth pertaining to Crip Mac just because he ran across or he sat in an interview with somebody and he didn't do nothing that he say he do. You know what I'm saying? We ain't never seen him do no destruction. We ain't never seen him tell no real Hoovers nothing to their face. Mind you, you might fight some people in jail, but you really can't even run from that. You gotta face that. You know what I mean? Unless you just a way out total mark at the end of the day. So it's kind of different. You know what I mean? It is what it is though. So yeah, that's just one part that I keep catching from people trying to like explain and make excuses on behalf of Crip Mac that I wasn't having. Like, I just can't agree with that. Just because he sat with a Hoover and he disrespect Hoovers and he disrespect them behind Hoovers that have came out or got caught doing sexual acts and he disrespect those, y'all know the term he used. We ain't heard about that. He also the same person who said when he ran into Chat 5 he was gonna choke him and he got a tongue ring and this and the third. But when he ran into Chat 5, shit went another way. So, and that's not about like, you could lose and win, I just come with the game. But I'm just saying is, Crip Mac being peaceful is not about growth. It's not representing growth on behalf of Crip Mac because he doesn't have the history of doing none of this shit that we trying to get him credit for being being more mature about. You know what I'm saying? We ain't seen Tim crash out on no podcast. We ain't seen Tim Crip Mac be outside in the streets, and I mean, he ain't had not one altercation. Not in the mall, not in the store, not at your local store, not on the street, like just nowhere. Like he just, so it is what it is. I'm not saying he's a buster and he's a hoe, but I'm just saying they gotta stop using that as an excuse. Like, oh, Crip Mac on growth, he could have went this way about it and did this and that. Even if Crip Mac did something to that individual, he wouldn't have got no credit. But if he flipped out, then we would have been like, okay, at least it's kind of like, it's like we'd have viewed it as at least he kind of keeping his word about what he be saying when he come to this and that and the third. But also, again, like I said, like Milk pointed out, if he was on growth, he wouldn't have tried to correct that individual for mentioning what town he's from in Texas. And he's trying to tell him, wait a minute, watch that. That's how you disrespect some gangs around here, the 40s, and this, and the third. Now, a person that's just on their job don't even think like that. That's the thing. Like, people got to stop making that excuse. Just like Bricc Baby. Bricc Baby, he could have conducted himself way better with that situation pertaining to Snoopy Badass. But he want to be so, he got the platform and he can use the microphone, he's podcasting. Then on the other hand, he want to be what really makes him welcome in the room is just that he's a part of this gang culture and he's willing to be open about it. That's one of the main reasons why a person like Adam 22 rock with Bricc Baby is because he's willing to be open about gang culture and gang knowledge and gang beef and gang politics, and he's willing to be open about that. You know what I mean? So, like what Whack 100 broke down was a great breakdown, was the fact that you keep using this type of terminology and this type of lingo, it makes the conversation and the settings come off more of a backyard boogie, you know what I mean? Instead of a professional conversation pertaining to you doing your job. So we gotta stop with all the excuses we making, homie. It's just people get caught up and don't really see the future. Bricc Baby didn't think that Snoopy Badass would return that type of energy off of anything that was said. He didn't see that coming. You know what I mean? That's just like Crip Mac. He didn't really think he was gonna have to run across YG and Bricc and Blueface and all these people at these venues. He just didn't think that. And if he did, he knew in his mind, like, I'm gonna just shut it down off the rip. Because you can't be on, like for Bricc Baby, like you can't be on here being a face for 6 Soul, but then when a person go off into a gang problem and say you on such and such on Pyro, and you want to go back to being a normal person, it don't work that way. The disrespect is already in the air by now. Now, if he would have had an like if y'all had just had a debate, a professional debate on, podcast to podcast, or however it go, then that would have been the difference. You know what I mean? This is why you can see a lot of debates or friendly conversation took place a lot with like Community or Back on Fig, whatever, Ace Boy and them, is because nobody's always just on this, on that, and everything is about the gang. It's like it's not based upon that. Yeah, it might come in play a little bit at times, just because people are where they from. But it ain't about like, everybody's carrying a gang member mentality in the room. Everybody's doing what they supposed to be doing and holding themselves to their standards of what they believe, with their morals and their integrity. You feel me? So I respect that. Like, you know what I mean? So I hope everybody get my point on what I'm breaking down. But I'm just saying, you got to keep that shit at BENJY if you're going to speak on it. Don't make it seem like Crip Mac represent no growth. We got to see if his growth going to be continuously, and it's going to be that way for the next 6 months. Not just pertaining to him thinking he's sending shots at one of his ops or so-called ops. Not him being on gang time when it's beneficial for him and he could work the room. But when it comes to him disrespecting people, like, he can't be growth because he just recently disrespected YG and Blueface. So by the law of the streets, or just being a man itself, and another person he disrespected from Blueface camp, it could go anyway when they run across him. Cause when you disrespecting Blueface, you don't know who else you offended. When you disrespect YG, you don't know who else you offended. You feel me? So it's sad, but that's just how it go. If it's a sad case of what may take place when people run across them, but that's just the truth in the matter. And if you want to be better than that, y'all gotta y'all gotta really get a grip on Crip Mac for real. Not just when he do the Buster shit, or it's cool when he fake D-boying, but then it's always growth when he on some pussy shit. That ain't respected at all. And then one of the only things that I ever heard a person give Crip Mac credit about being on growth about is him sitting down with a homosexual fake Crip. Stop it, man. I'm not buying the bullshit. You know what I mean? And I'm sure everybody, like a lot of people, ain't respecting that. But, like I said, it is what it is. I just ain't into all the whole excuse making and stuff about the situation. If everybody gonna do what they want to do, then just do it and own that shit. You know what I mean? If your homies do what your homie do, then let your homie do what he do and accept it for what it is. Don't make no excuses for it, though. You know what I mean? Because the same people that's making excuses for Crip Mac or Bricc Baby, they the same individuals that keep saying they wouldn't do it. You know what I mean? I wouldn't do it. I wouldn't do it. I wouldn't do it. So let that sink in, and that carries some volume to the situation if you wouldn't do it yourself. So, it is what it is, man. I'm going to catch y'all in the next video. And I thank y'all for tuning in. Keep it a Benji for me in them comments. If not, don't jump in them. And I'm going to catch y'all in the next one. And I'm out.